Yes, it's panning the room.
Let me know when we're live and ready.
I will.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight. Those of you that don't know me or haven't had the chance to meet me is Lee Greenemeyer. I'm currently serve as the Director of Emergency Management for Steuben County. And we are here this evening to bring some subject matter experts to the community of Orland to talk about some weather preparedness. The spring season is upon us, and there is some history with some severe weather in this community. And as you may or may not be aware, recently within the last week, the state of Indiana actually has experienced its first tornado already for the season. So pretty relevant to what we're going to talk about this evening. This has actually been a couple of years in the making of coming. So I had an opportunity several years ago to meet the clerk treasurer and the town board president. And one of the things that was proposed was to be able to come to the community and discuss some weather preparedness and some different things associated with that. The differences between watches and warnings, how our local sirens are activated, what they work, different meanings behind those, and then even to bring in the fire department with some of their initial response. So this evening we're going to try to cover all of those. You'll hear some from me, but in a little bit. With us this evening are Dustin Norman with the National Weather Service, and I will have him introduce himself in a minute. Jim Friend with the Orland Community Volunteer Fire Department. I think I got it, right?
Yes, sir.
Who will be talking as the local subject matter expert. And then Jana, right here, the executive director of the Joyce Public Library, is with us this evening. So I'll let her speak real quick before we begin. And then also your local town president, Robin, is sitting in the back. So, and if you would like to say anything, you'd be more than welcome to before we begin. So either Jana or Robin, if you guys want to say anything.
Pick me up. Yeah, I wanted to thank everybody that came. And this has been a dream of mine for quite a few years now, but we could connect the community with our first responders and our weather service and help the two to understand, not that they don't understand you, but for us to understand them and all of the things that they go through and how they're trying to help us so that we work with them and not against them. Not that anyone would want on purpose, but anyway, I'm just very thankful and appreciative that they all are doing this. Our emergency management director for the Steuben County group of people who is most of us, I'm very grateful for him. He's a good man and takes good care of us. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Janet.
Hi, I'm the director for the library, and we've been wanting to do more programs to get people from the community in, so we're very happy to see you here. You can come back. We're not just books, so come and enjoy some of the things we have to offer and watch for us on Facebook. Since moving back to Orland about 5 years ago, it's really been brought home. Different emergencies I've seen come up. This community really does pull together and so forth. And I figure as long as we're going to pull together, we maybe should do it in the right way, know what we're doing and so forth. So this was a program that I too was anxious to bring to the town. So hopefully it'll, even if you take one little.
Dustin, if you've got phones, I would just ask that you either put them on vibrate or silent. I will be doing mine in a minute when I step off the stage. Emergency exits are out the front door that you guys came in. If we have to evacuate the structure, we'll go that way. And then also the bathroom is right through the door here, around the desks, and then just kind of back the stairwells if anybody needs to get up and use the facilities. So without any further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Dustin Norman and let him introduce himself. He's going to talk, and then in about an hour and a half, hopefully we'll wrap up, if not sooner, after some questions and answers.
Do you want me to go ahead and just start getting into it, or
No,
just
introduce yourself. Introduce yourself, and then you can slide right in.
Hey everybody, so my name is Dustin Norman. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist here at the National Weather Service office in Northern Indiana. So we are located in Syracuse, Indiana. My position is primarily like the liaison between the office and the public and our core partners like emergency management and other public, state, and local officials. So, am I just introducing myself?
Yeah.
All right.
And now Dustin's going to talk about the other.
That's what I was asking. All right. Okay, so let me refocus myself here. So, all right, getting into our office here, we are surrounded by 6 different local offices. So there's 122 National Weather Service offices across the across the country, including OCONUS. So that would be like Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, and Puerto Rico. We cover 24 counties in northern and northeast Indiana, 8 counties in northwest Ohio, and 5 counties in southern Michigan. Does it stuff like roll point on it? Oh, it does. Look at that. So to our north, we have Grand Rapids, and to our south, Indianapolis. And we also have a little portion of coastal waters too. So we go out 5 nautical miles, and we do the as well. So we are 24/7, 365 days a year, 7 days a week, nights, weekends, holidays. There's always at least 1 or 2 forecasters on shift. I'm one of the 3 managers. We have a science operations officer and then also a meteorologist in charge of each office. These are the social media handles that you can do. I recommend that you follow all of them just because you'll sometimes get some upstream information ahead of time. So definitely follow ours. Ours is at NWS Northern Indiana. Ironically, I actually don't think it's listed on there. So that's kind of funny. But so with that said, at NWS Northern Indiana, and our website is weather.gov/IWX. So those 3 letters at the end are the identifier for each office, and our office is IWX. And so you would just replace weather.gov and then / and then the 3-letter identifier to go to the office's homepage. So the severe weather cycle. How does this look? As we typically get closer, and I'm going to just sit for this just so that I'm not imposing and taking up half the space. We approach this in several stages. So the first stage with the severe weather cycle is going to be the outlook. It's going to be the days 3 through 7. 7 is kind of a stretch when it comes to severe weather, but typically in that 3 to 4 day time frame, you'll start seeing us issue outlooks that are co-produced by the Storm Prediction Center. The Storm Prediction Center is a national center in Norman, Oklahoma, and it is part of the Weather Service. When we issue like a slight risk or moderate risk for tornadoes or convection that day, that's coming from the Storm Prediction Center. So typically, what we would do is we'll start issuing briefings for partners. You may start seeing social media posts at this point. So this is a good time to start establishing a plan. What are you going to do in case severe weather strikes? Make sure you have those plans in place, and emergency supplies as well. When we get a couple days out, or particularly the day of, I should say, within that 2 to 8 hour time frame, you may see us issue what's called like a severe thunderstorm watch or a tornado watch. I'm going to get into the watches and warnings later. It's quite common that people misunderstand the differences of the two. It's very important that we understand the differences though. But when in that watch phase, this is when you would start to monitor closely. You want to make sure that your radio is, your no-weather radio is plugged in. You want to make sure that, if you're, if you have extracurricular activities or plans later in the evening, maybe take a look at that and consider whether or not you want to postpone or delay those. This is when, in the watch, conditions are favorable for severe weather. We don't have anything yet, right? We have the ingredients in place, and again, I'm going to get into that. But when we're in the watch phase, just know that we have conditions favorable for severe thunderstorms or tornadoes. We don't have anything that's formed yet. Moving on to stage 3 is our warning phase. That's going to be in the minutes of lead time. So you're not going to get 2 hours of lead time that there's going to be a tornado coming towards you. It might be 2 minutes. Hopefully it's 10 or 15 minutes. But realistically, it's usually in the minutes. This is when you want to take action, though, and seek shelter, because this is when we've identified a threat, and it's a very short fuse. Here's an imminent threat, take action to protect life and property. But you know what? We're always looking to improve and go back, right? So we have one severe weather event that goes through. We have to look beyond that. So us at the Weather Service and emergency management, we're never too focused on the event that just occurred. We have to keep looking forward. So this is a good time, after an event moves through, to make sure that we restock our severe weather supplies and revise and look over our plans. Safety is always first priority. So whether it's your employees, your customers, your family, or even yourself, we have a lot of these catchy slogans are in place for a reason, because they're very important. Individuals from hazardous weather, and we still see fatalities occur. But some of the ones that you should definitely remember are when thunder roars, go indoors. So there's no safe place outdoors for lightning. Seeking shelter underneath a tree, not a good idea. We want to be in an enclosed structure, whether that be a hardtop vehicle with the windows rolled up, or inside and not touching any electrical or plumbing. When it comes to a tornado or strong winds, and this graphic's a little bit covered, so I apologize for that. We want to move to the interior room on the lowest floor. So you'll see up here, up in the attic or the loft, we don't want to be up here, right? So the first things that's usually taken off in a tornado is going to be the roof. So we don't want to be up there. The upper second and third floor walls and windows are going to be typically the first things that are going to collapse or fail. So we don't want to be upstairs at all. If you don't have any other choice and you have to be upstairs, try and separate yourself from any exterior walls. Ideally, though, interior room on the lowest floor. So maybe underneath like a stairwell or something like that. Have multiple ways to receive warnings. This is something that is necessary for counties to become storm ready. We strongly suggest multiple ways to receive our alerts. So one of the most surefire methods is right over there on the table. Lee has several NOAA weather radios. If you don't have one, I'm sure that's why he has them sitting out, so talk to him. NOAA weather radios are great. They're very important. Definitely have one sitting in your house and set up to receive alerts for Steuben. You guys are on the western side of the county, so in a lot of storms move from west to east, typically in the United States. So it might be a good idea to have like LaGrange County also set up to alert, so that when we issue a tornado warning, you'll know that it's moved into LaGrange County, and then you might have some heads up that it's about to move into Steuben. Multiple ways, though. Your phone is a good method. We do not. Your phone will alert with WIA, wireless emergency alert, for a tornado warning. and for a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. And I'll get into the differences of those. However, don't rely on your phone to alert you with just a base severe thunderstorm warning. That is rely on or look to the NOAA weather radio to alert you for that. The TV is another method. Let's see. I think I have a FEMA slide here. So this slide actually should have been back another slide. FEMA.gov/mobile-app is a good method to receive any watches and warnings that are pushed out by our office. FEMA sends them out through their app. So unfortunately, the National Weather Service is not able to have our own designated application. What occurs is because we're federal government, our product and our is public information. And so a lot of private companies will get that and then they can kind of repackage it and sell it in their application. So we're not allowed to compete with that. And so we don't have our own app. That's why I suggest downloading the FEMA app so that you can at least get all alerts on your phone. The NOAA weather radio versus outdoor warning siren. So how many people think that outdoor warning sirens alert you if you're indoors? Trick question based on good question. Okay, so outdoor warning sirens. They are designed to alert individuals outdoors. Hence the name, right? We'll go on scene after tornado, and a lot of individuals will claim that they didn't receive warning or they didn't hear the sirens. And when we ask them, well, where were you during the tornado? And they'll say, I was in my kitchen. That's not where tornado sirens are designed for. The other caveat for sirens is that every municipality, every county, every city has different ways to activate those, different policies in place. Different funding exists for various counties, right? So I work closely with 37 different counties across my 3 states, and I see that there's, tornado sirens are in various quality of maintenance, right? So don't rely on those. They are important. I don't want to diminish the importance of outdoor warning sirens, but they're meant for individuals that are outdoor or outside practicing, playing soccer, working, construction workers or whatnot, to just give individuals a heads up that there's impending very hazardous weather. These are likely, you guys only activate for tornadoes, right? Okay. So they're not activated by the Weather Service. There's also different policies in place for activating them. So I just go to say, don't rely just solely on outdoor warning sirens to be your sole source of weather warning. The other reason, that's multiple slides down. Sorry, I'll get there. The other reason is because, I'll get into that. I'm gonna harp on again, NOAA weather radio. They're meant to be portable, have batteries in them, so when you go into your shelter during a tornado, you can also just take it with you.
Dustin, do you have any idea what a weather radio costs?
I do.
Yes.
It's roughly $36 is the price that I can get through Midland themselves. If you look at them on Amazon, you're talking more $40, $45 for the style radio that our office has available.
And the emergency management offices sells NOAA radio?
No, I do not.
Okay, then,
I put them out. I don't charge them to anybody.
okay.
So
Is there an application for that or?
just come up to the office. But
Well,
we'll
if you
talk
can
about
have coffee?
Yeah, just stop it and see me have coffee.
Okay,
We'll talk about that when we get to.
okay.
That's a great question.
Yeah, Midland. So Midland is the manufacturer of this white radio. This is arguably the most common, most popular no weather radio that you'll come across. There's some other ones that don't have that are great, but they don't have the same capability. Which SAME is an acronym. It stands for Specific Area Messaging Coder. So the downside for those radios is that they're going to alert any radio within that transmitter. And we have 7 transmitters across the area. So you might have a tornado warning go off in Allen County, and it's going to alert. So you want a radio that has same capability, which this does. So it's only going to alert to Steuben County, or if you want, upstream counties.
You can take it camping.
Day camping. Some of the radios I can think of that don't have the same function are like your hand crank ones and solar power. So you can get some pretty fancy radios. I just am hesitant to recommend people putting those in their house because they don't have the same capability.
So with it being battery backup, we have taken it.
Yeah, no, this one is also great for that too. Yeah, for sure. And the good thing about no weather radio is it is activated. These are maintained, not these. The receivers are not maintained by us, but the transmitters are owned and maintained by us. So when we issue a warning, that's automatically gone to that communication channel and gets broadcast to the radio. So there's no latency issues there. So I told you I was going to touch on this of a watch and a warning. Over the years, there's been I've heard of several different analogies for describing the differences of the two, and I really like the taco. There's taco and then there's like a cake. But describe the taco. So with a taco, you got your onions, your cilantro, your lettuce, your cheese, your tomatoes, and your beef. So you have all of the ingredients in place for a taco, but you don't yet have a taco, right? You have a taco watch. So we have gone to the store, we have purchased all of our things, and we have them sitting on the counter, but we don't yet have a taco. This is, let's say, our 1 to 5 hours out, right? So we're in that watch phase. We have our taco stuff sitting on the counter. Fast forward a couple of hours, and conditions have come together. I have now become not lazy, and I've got up to make myself a taco. I have now crossed into the taco warning. So I have now created a taco. All of the ingredients are in place for that taco to exist, and I now have a taco. So I'm going to place a warning on that taco. Does that analogy make sense? Yes? Yeah. So in other words, with watches, you got hours to prepare, and something may not impact you. With a warning, understand that the threat is imminent. It may not necessarily impact you directly, but the threat is imminent, and you have minutes to prepare or take action. So some of the watches that we might issue would be severe thunderstorm, tornado, or flash flood watch. If a watch is in effect, consider postponing or canceling your activities. And again, you don't have to take action at this point. This is just, hey, this is a good time to make sure that your radio is working and that you're aware. Maybe you have radar downloaded, like a radar app downloaded, so that you're able to just kind of keep a passive eye out on the weather. When we move into a warning, we issue a severe thunderstorm warning for winds of 58 miles per hour or greater, or 1-inch hail. for a tornado warning, there's several different types of warnings, and I'll touch on that in a second. We've got Doppler radar, and when you see Doppler radar indicated rotation, the Doppler radar is not indicating the rotation. A meteorologist is interpreting the radar and determining that there's rotation. Or a confirmed report from like a spotter. So if any of you guys are trained spotters, awesome, thank you. If you're not, there's a bunch of trainings coming up, so I suggest participating in one of those. So we have two different types of warnings. So we have either a confirmed warning or a Doppler indicated warning. Visually confirmed tornado is obviously a little bit more heightened. So that increases your action that you should be taking. So if a warning is in effect, take action, take shelter immediately. I mentioned earlier, we want 10 or 15 minutes of lead time with these. Sometimes they're minutes, sometimes it's seconds, right? So, make sure you seek shelter immediately. So not all of our warnings, to make it a little bit more confusing, not all of our warnings are created equal. Over the past handful of years, the Weather Service has moved into something called impact-based warnings. With a tornado, let's move into a severe thunderstorm warning. At the bottom of a severe thunderstorm warning, you will see some text. At the bottom of every single severe or tornado warning, you'll see some text at the bottom. And it just kind of summarizes the various threats within that warning. Typically, max wind gust at kind of base is 60 miles per hour. Radar indicated wind threat, max hail size, less than an inch. So we're saying like the severe weather threat is really the wind here. However, you'll see this tornado possible. So as the text here alludes to, sometimes while we always want to issue the proper warning, I'll just pull up all three so you can see it. While we strive to issue warnings before it occurs, that doesn't always happen. We also, we have tornado warning and we have severe thunderstorm warning. Tornado warnings is a severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing a tornado. If we were to issue a tornado warning on every severe thunderstorm that's capable of producing a tornado, we would have way too many tornado warnings, and we would be over-warning people with tornado warnings. So sometimes what you might see, and this will especially occur with like squall lines or long lines of thunderstorms, you may see a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. So this means primarily the threat is wind or hail, but we can't completely rule out that there might not be a brief tornado in this, or we don't have the confidence to place a designated tornado warning. We're keeping it a severe thunderstorm warning. I want to mention that because a lot of people, or not a lot, but there would be some individual that would be impacted by a tornado and they were under a severe thunderstorm warning and said that they didn't receive warning. They did. It just came in a different method. So ideally, we would have a tornado warning out for every tornado, but just understand that that's not always possible. And so it's important to keep severe thunderstorm warnings really high up on the I have to do something about it level. So with these over here, and it's a little bit challenging to see, so I apologize. Our destructive tags, how much time have I? You have this text down here, and you have destructive tags. So with impact-based warnings, we're able to actually heighten a warning based on what we deem the maximum threat is. So our base tags would be the 58-mile-per-hour winds and 1 inch hail. Does that activate wireless emergency alert? No. If we bump that up to considerable, so that would be 70-mile-per-hour winds and golf ball size hail. Does that activate wireless emergency alert? No. However, if we bump up to destructive, and I've only issued one destructive severe thunderstorm warning, so it's not common, but 80-mile-per-hour winds, so this would be like a derecho, right? Like a large, very sustained, long swath of damaging winds. Which 80-mile-per-hour winds is an EF0 tornado, so just keep in mind that you can get tornadic damage with severe thunderstorm winds. But if we issue a severe thunderstorm with a destructive tag, 80-mile-per-hour wind, baseball size hail, that will activate WIA. So that will alert your phones if you're in that warning area. And down or over here with the tornado threat tag, our base one is just a no tag. With considerable, that means we have a confirmed destructive tornado that's on the ground, whether that's radar confirmed or a spotter has told us that. Catastrophic is if you watch like the news or weather channel and you've seen a tornado emergency be listed, that's what that is. So when we do a catastrophic damage tag for a tornado warning that alerts a tornado emergency, that's exceedingly rare. Hopefully you guys never see that. And I touched on this. This was, just kind of hitting on the individuals that, may kind of diminish the threat of a severe thunderstorm warning, the tornado possible. And this was for, so this had the considerable tag. So this was for like a stronger straight line wind event. And you'll see the max wind gusts of 70 up here. So that would not have alerted WIA. But it is a enhanced severe thunderstorm warning that does have a tornado possible listed on it. That's kind of all I have. Look, I do have our social media. See, I got it somewhere. Does anybody have any specific questions for me? Yes.
So to touch back on that part where you said overwarning people, yes. So technically when people just like start thinking about like the holy Bible and start doing that.
Yep.
That's what I wanted to ask.
Yep, that's exactly right. And to be honest, there's 122 offices. There's different warning philosophies amongst those offices. Every forecaster has slightly different philosophies, so it varies. You may have one storm get warned, and then if you go to another office and another forecaster is working it, that forecaster will warn on that storm. So you can get over warning just from which office you're in.
One more thing. Where I live, they like do tornado warnings for like the fire department too. Like if somebody has a call for the fire department, they'll like do a tornado warning or something.
Like they'll sound the sirens, or
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It varies depending on the municipality and the county having their plans in place. Where some will activate if they receive a spotter, and some have to have a confirmed warning from us. That happened actually in a neighboring county where there was a tornado that we did not have a tornado on, and spotters called dispatch, 911 dispatch, and they warning sirens a few minutes before we issued a warning. So,
And we're going to talk about that in here.
yes.
So we'll touch on
Do we have like cities that we go to, like different cities?
Do we have what?
Do we have cities that we go to like different cities like in case it gets like really bad?
We'll talk about that too, coming up.
One more question for you, Dustin. What's the difference between the direct Dracos and
Yeah, good question. So derecho, is the same thing as a squall line or a long swath of straight line wind, but the definition of it is what makes it a derecho. So by definition, you have to have, I believe it's 250 miles. So you have to have severe winds over the span of, I think, at least 2 hours across 250 miles and at least like 50 miles wide. There's some very specific criteria. So you have to basically have consistent damage for several hours
from the same
to be
storm.
classified as a derecho. So you can have the same impacts from not a derecho that you would from a derecho. It's just, do they meet the meteorological definition of being classified as a?
All right.
Not a problem in Florida where I'm from.
Thank you, Dustin. Don't go too far because if we have more questions at the end, there will be an opportunity for everybody to ask some questions of all of us. So the next part of this is going to be what I kind of threw together, and this is where I'll talk a little bit about what we do on the local level for Steuben County, and answer some of those questions about places to go and whether we're going to do, whether you would leave the community here to go somewhere else to another city or town in the county. And then also we're going to have an opportunity while we're doing this discussion to let Chief Friend talk about the response for the Orland Fire Department and what they would do in the community when those warnings and stuff were activated and come through. So Dustin had talked about the tornado, the outdoor warning sirens. And I want everybody to understand that that's what he's saying is exactly what they are. Steuben County has 32 sirens that are throughout the county. We use a software system called Commander One that's from Federal Signal. That's what you're seeing. This is actually what I see on my screen on my computer that talks a little bit about the sirens. And each one of those little pins that you see is where some of the sirens are in the county. I say some of the sirens because these are ones that our system is able to automatically activate. You will notice that there is not a pin up here in Orland, right? And that's because the siren that is here in Orland is manually activated, correct?
Correct. We have 2 sirens here in Orland. When we built our new fire station, we actually put up a new siren back in 2014. And after we did testing of that, we found out that it was too high to cover the town itself. So it was broadcasting outside of the city limits or the town limits. So then we came back through and we put down a lower siren. So we actually have 2, and they're both manually set off at the fire station by a firefighter in inclement weather. So that's why you don't see a pin on there. Yes, we do have them, but it's just not activated by the county. We activate them ourselves.
Similarly to the fire station that is out here in the little community of Metz, they have a tornado, an outdoor warning siren there as well, but it is a similar situation. It is manually activated by one of our firefighters that would be responding to the station. So the reason I mention this is Dustin talked about having more than one way to receive alerts and warnings. I've got that same slide, not the same information, but I've got that same slide. Understand that the Commander One system that we have through Federal Signal, it recognizes when those tornado warnings are issued by the National Weather Service. And the software that we have has an interface in it that then allows the automatic activation of these sirens. So they issue a warning through the National Weather Service. The Commander One software system recognizes it and will set off the sirens. Now, it will automatically go off once that polygon is recognized for any portion of Steuben County. If the warning itself that is issued through the National Weather Service office is for the community of the southeast community down here, Hamilton, Alvarado, maybe even Metz, going into Eden and Williams County, but just glances the southeast portion of the county, all of the sirens in the county will activate. Even the ones that are up here around Lake James, Crooked Lake, Snow Lake, Timerson Lake, even the ones that are over here out on the west side of the county, they will all go off. And the reason that that is set up is so that there is no operator error, and we are reducing the amount of burden that's on our dispatchers to actually say, okay, this one goes off, this one goes off, this one goes off. They all go off, which is why you may have heard on occasion, if you're out and about in the community, if the skies are blue and the sun is out and the sirens are going off, but there's an issue, a warning that has been issued somewhere else in the county, that's why. I will say as a perfect example, I want to say it was primary election day, May, 2 years ago. There was a tornado that was, a warning that was issued after a tornado was called in near the community or near Angola. And I say this because I know that the Republican Party was having their celebration, something function going on, and I'm calling the commissioners saying, hey, you guys need to seek shelter. There's a tornado on the outside of town. So it went through, it was here. Everything around it was blue skies, clear skies, but all the sirens in the county were going off and people were wondering what was going on. So understand, in order to reduce operator error, when a warning is issued in any part of Steuben County, our system will recognize that issued warning from the National Weather Service, and all of the sirens will be activated. Okay. Now you're going to say, well, those are different colored pins, right? We've got a green here, we've got a red one here, we've got a purple or pink one here. The green ones, on this particular day that I took this picture, the red ones, there's a warning that has been issued there, that there's something that has to be checked out with the siren. So our sirens, even though we have 32 of them, they're maintained by us. They're on a 3-year rotation, that we get them serviced. The batteries get replaced. They get tested monthly, but sometimes issues do come up. So we're going to have to go in and we look at this map regularly. These little pink ones here, all that says is that they're active, but they don't send anything back to us. So we shoot something out to them, but we don't get anything back from them saying they were activated, but we know that they were, because we get feedback from them. These we get communication from all the time. So we know when, like I said, this will go red if there's an issue. So, but know that all of these that the county helps maintain are done on a 3-year rotation. If you happen to be in one of those vicinities where one of those sirens is not activated, I would ask that you contact our office so that we can get a hold of somebody to come up and take a look at them. And if we need to, we'll get some maintenance repairs that are put in order for those to get those serviced. So know that over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're actually going to be doing our annual maintenance for the ones that need to be done this year. They're not all done every year. They're on, like I said, on a 3-year rotation where there's various ones that are done throughout the year.
So the pink ones, you said they don't send anything back. There's obviously not something wrong with them.
No,
Are they a different kind?
they're a different kind.
That's
Correct. They're a different kind.
because I'm near the Salem Center one.
Yes. So the one down here that is in Salem Center is an older style siren, and it is a radio signal that is just sent to them. And that's an inverter that is there. It receives a signal, and then it will send something through and activates it, and will send them out to the siren and kick the siren off. So this is an older style versus the other ones that are great. This is a map of all the sirens in Steuben County, including the ones that are manually activated, like here in Orland, the one that's out here in Metz. But that's what the coverage is. All right. People ask, well, how much warning or what's the distance for the outdoor warning sirens that we have? This is our coverage area. If you live in Clear Lake, you got pretty good coverage. If you live in the town of Fremont, the entire town of Fremont is within that area. Right out here, we're just on the edge of the industrial park, and we've actually had communications with the town of Fremont of actually adding a 4th one for the community out here as well. You'll notice here, what do we see a lot in this area? Why do you think there are so many in here? And lakes and a lot of population that lives in this area, right? Densely populated areas. People around the lakes. Most of the community of Angola. That's what you're seeing. Down here, the town of Hamilton has 3. Ashley Hudson has 2 down here. I believe there's one here that actually is just across the county line in Stroh that covers Turkey Lake over here. But that's the coverage. But we have gaps, right? A lot of rural area out here with no outdoor warning siren. A lot of rural area here with no outdoor warning siren, which is why we say have more than just this as your backup plan for the warnings, all right? Yes, Dustin talked about those weather radios. Yes, Dustin talked about getting the alerts on your phone. I'm going to tell you that you need to also look at broadcast media or radio. If you know that there's a warning or a watch if you know that there's a watch that's in place, be communicating with your friends and family. Let them know so they can be drawn attention. I will tell you right now that when I receive notices from the National Weather Service, before they even come across my phone, or before I even hear it on the radio, or I see something on social media about a watch that's in the area, I'm calling my parents. I even call my sister, plural, the third local. I call my sisters and I let them know, hey, we got something that's moving in the area. You need to be paying attention. Now, mind you, they live on the way to the fire station for me, but I call them and let them know. I used to call my aunt and uncle that lived next door. But call your friends and family and then get on social media and check those out. So I'm going to pause for just a minute. You go grab me 3 of those weather radios, please, Chief. I'm going to pause a minute because I'm not going to talk about all this other stuff because Dustin already did. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give one of these right now to the library here so that there's a weather radio here in the library. And I'm going to ask a question. Of those of you that are in attendance today, who's the closest? Who drove the least amount of distance to get here?
No, me.
I live just east, right
2
in Orland,
doors.
across from the Thunderstorm.
So you're like a block and a half away?
Probably heard around I imagine.
No, I'm 2 doors down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's true. Huh?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you have one of these?
I don't even know what it is. What is it?
So no.
All right, since you're both the same distance away, here you go.
Thank you.
Closest coming to the meeting.
Thank you.
You have a weather radio for your home.
Thank you very much.
Who drove the farthest to get here? You don't count. Who drove the farthest to get here?
Bronson.
Stop Bronson.
You're at Lake Gage.
Yeah, it's close.
Bronson's about 12 miles.
And you're Waterloo. Butler.
Oh, he's far away.
You can, but I work.
But you can get one from me anytime.
I mean, I work for you.
Yeah.
We kind of work for you, so.
Hey, Dad, shush.
Well, I'll tell you what. Here you go. So farthest away. Put that in your house. All right.
I am thinking about
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to get with you on the codes. All right. So
We'll replace it tonight.
No.
He's one of my,
it's
he's
him.
one of my firefighters.
No, I'm one of the guys up there.
Yeah.
No,
He's one of my
Take it.
firefighters. I can
here you
give
go,
him.
Noreen.
Well,
I can get one from Lee.
You can get one for me too.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So you want to program that?
I have the phones at home.
It's true. It's AA batteries. I got 3 of them before you leave. All right. I think it takes. So get batteries for me before you leave. And then on your box, I believe it is 164025.
I can look.
Hey, he's gonna look up the programming code for you because you have to find the right radio frequency for us. So that's your homework. Look up the code for us. I believe it's a 164025, but I'm not sure. So there you go. Now, Jim had asked the question earlier about the weather radios. I try to have these available in our office, in the emergency management office in Steuben County that's available. And I like getting out in the community to do these presentations because it gives an opportunity for me to pass these out. I want to be able to provide these. I don't want somebody to have to pay the $35 or $40 off Amazon to be able to get those because I want people to be safe in the community. I will tell you this, if you don't have a weather radio at home and you want one, before you leave tonight, come see me. I will give you my business card. We'll set up a time. I think I have 4 more in my office and I'm about to order a bunch more. because some of the money that I get in my budget every year, I buy radios just for that purpose. The commissioners know, the council knows, I buy them and I just give them out to the community. So they're available. Those that are listening online, if anybody has any questions, they can get a hold of me. I will make sure that the town clerk's office has my contact information and they can reach out there. And please reach out to me and I will try to get you a weather radio so that you can put these in your homes and have them available. That's my push for your public safety, because Steuben County is a community. We're all one. And this is home for each and every one of us. And I want you to be safe. I don't want to have Chief Friend call me and say, hey, we've got an issue and we're going to this residence. Can you come up here? Which I will. We've done that. But if this is something that we can do together, either the Orland Fire Department, my office, at Emergency Management to provide these, get with him, get with me, we will get them for you. Okay? So, local emergency response. This is kind of the last slide that I've got a little bit before some things that we need to know. So this is where Chief Friend and I were going to tag team a little bit, okay, on this one. Local emergency response. We're going to talk about what the fire department does. We're going to talk about what my office does. So the National Weather Service issues a warning. They issue a watch. Watch then turns into a warning. The sirens are going to get activated, okay? They're going to get activated through that Federal Signal Commander 1 software system. They're going to get pushed out. They're going to get paged. They're going to go off and set off their siren. But at this point in time, they do a whole lot of stuff for the community here. So I'm not going to talk about what the Orland Fire Department does or what their capabilities are. I'm going to let Chief Friend talk about what they can do. So take it away.
Like Lee says, once it gets switched to a warning, the 911 center tones out the fire departments in Steuben County. And at that point, we go up and man our station. We put apparatuses out in the area for two reasons. One reason is to get them out of the station. That way they're not all in one spot. If a tornado would come through, it would wipe out all of our apparatus. So that's one reason why we get them out of the station. The next is to get weather spotters out in the area. That way they can communicate back to the station for whoever's on station to activate our sirens. Typically, we have a truck go north, we have a truck go south, and a truck go west. Like Dustin said, the majority, not saying it's impossible, because we know how Mother Nature is. She's kind of temperamental. But for the rule of thumb, all of our storms come from west to east, which would also be the tornadoes coming from west to east. So we put a truck north, a truck south, and a truck out west. And then we also make a lap down through the park, make sure the park's clear. And then we also put one here in town, not by the factories. And again, the station's manned. The guys are on the radio, communicating back to the station what they're seeing, what the weather's like, what the conditions are like. If there's any imminent threat that we feel that is destructive danger, as Dustin put it, or if we see a funnel cloud, or if we have reports, say from LaGrange County that's approaching our county, we're going to activate our sirens. I don't want to get overwarned, but on the other hand, I don't want to be underwarned either. So at that point, we're gonna turn on our sirens. The guys are still giving feedback. I have pea-sized hail. I have winds approximately 50 miles an hour. It's raining sideways. The guys are feeding back to the station, and whoever the commander is on station, whether it's myself, whether it's the deputy chief, whether it's one of the officers, they're making that decision off the feedback from them. Plus, we're monitoring Steuben County communications. Plus, we're monitoring Lee. Plus, we're monitoring LaGrange County. So there is a lot that goes on. Being in that position, especially this past year, seems like we're in it more than usual. It's pretty overwhelming for one person here. So you're probably going to see several of us on station, monitoring all these different channels on our radios to make the decisions, to make the best informed decisions that we can for you, to keep you as a community safe. I can't say that that's going to happen every time, but that is our goal. Like the night that I called Lee at 9:30, 10 o'clock and said, hey, you might want to come up here. But that's our goal. After the fact, if there is a weather event after the fact, and then we'll start a grid pattern and we'll start an assessment situation.
Know that the fire department that's here in your community, they're your first line of response. They're here for you and they're here to protect you. And then exactly what Chief Friend said, they're going to be out, they're going to be in the thick of it, they're going to be responding to calls, they're going to be still doing services for emergency, and they're going to be checking for damage and reporting that stuff back. And yes, if need be, driving road to road, you know, until it's done, until they pass or the threat is passed. And maybe even into the next day. You just never know what's going to happen. On our end, we are there more for the logistical support to assist them. So you can see I put on there that we would get activated just like they do, like the fire department does. I'll get a phone call from dispatch if something's moving in the area, or I get the notice from the National Weather Service that I'm already on my way into the office. We will, if the event is big enough and severe enough, we'll open up an emergency operations center where we'll pull people in. Some of our staff volunteers. There are 3 of them that are in the audience tonight that will come in to be able to assist us in whatever we have to do, whether we're putting teams out in the field, which we'll talk about, or whether we're answering phone calls. It's not uncommon for my wife to come in with me and sit at the desk and I say, honey, here, listen to the radio, here's a tablet, and start writing stuff down. Because everything is important. All the information is relevant, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We're going to put teams out in the field to start checking damage assessments. And when we're looking for damage assessments, I'm going to be very honest with you. We're going to talk about it in the next slide, but we're really looking at structures. Everything else is important, but we're really looking at structures. We want to be able to try to facilitate a preemptive strike, if you will, of where the storm was and the impacts were, so we can report that information back to the National Weather Service. The information that we gather goes to them. I'll put people on the computer. I will use our amateur radio operators in the community. I will use our volunteers that will report. I will use our local COCO RAS, which is an entity that will report different weather statuses, that will communicate with them, because all the information that we get as a community is very relevant to the data that they collect to help and track storms and what's going on, and get that preemptive look at how severe the storm may or may not have been. So we're gathering data, we're reporting it to the state watch desk. We're in communications with Indianapolis, the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. We're providing information. I'm communicating with our commissioners, and giving them real updates of, hey, there's a tornado that touched down in Orland, so that they're aware, so we can start local activation if we need to, and start looking at those potentials for disaster declarations. Or this is what we're seeing. This is what our responders are telling us. This is what dispatch is giving us. But I'm letting our elected officials know. And then we're providing that liaison role, if you will, between state, regional, federal, local partners. Other EMA offices that may be coming in. That's what our office does. Is in that position in those times, is we're that liaison and that person that is the person between the people, if you will. We play that role. So I talk about what you need to know. This is for you guys as you're out in your homes, right? The one question was raised: do we need to be in the community instead of being here for shelters? I'm going to tell you, like Dustin talked about in his slides, the best place for you to go is to identify a safe place in your home if you're capable of doing that. Go to the lowest level possible and into your room and stay there until the threat has passed. If you don't have something like that in your home, if you happen to live in a mobile home park or a trailer park or a community or it's a single story residence that doesn't have a basement, advocate for safe rooms in those facilities. A lot of mobile home parks, campgrounds, things like that do have cinder block or concrete structures that can be safe rooms, and know that those are coming. But again, don't wait till the storm is there to be evacuating to those structures. Get that early warning through your phone, through your weather radio, social media, through broadcast media, and know that it's coming so you can seek shelter immediately and stay there, or evacuate before, which is why I had in that, get a hold of your friends and families and let them know, right, that they need to go somewhere. My sister, I love her. She goes down the road a block and a half to our church in Metz, and that's where she goes. She goes to the basement there instead of stays in her home. If a tornado is coming and approaching Metz, I'm hoping she's finding a place in her first floor house and staying there and not trying to be out on the road going because she doesn't get along as fast as she used to. So don't go out in the storm. Find a safe place. After the storm, if things are destroyed and demolished, then yes, we will work with the Red Cross, one of our non-governmental organizations that we partner with, and look at the possibility of opening up shelters in the community. So we may have to do something on a large scale event if something were to come through here, and you may have to temporarily shelter somewhere else. And we would push that out through social media, broadcast media, friends and family networks, and whatever else, to where individuals would know that there's a safe place to go. We're looking for damage to homes, to barns, to structures, to infrastructure. All right. We really want to capture what's damaged to homes. That's the key thing for us. That's what's going to help us with disaster declarations. Homes, infrastructure, roads, bridges, utilities, culverts, things like that. I'm even going to tell you this. I learned this last year when we had the storms that went through at the end of March and early April, which some of you may recall because, yes, we were out driving the streets in the early morning hours on the 2nd or the 3rd. That damage to cemeteries is something that we can capture. Trees that are uprooted, heaven forbid, something that would uproot an actual internment, those are things that we can report for damage. So when the cemetery was hit last April out east of town, you better believe that I was in there the next day counting how many trees were hit, were destroyed, and were already being cut and removed. Luckily, none of the residents were uninterred, so we didn't have to worry about that. But that counts as local infrastructure, cemeteries. So those are things that we want to look at. Well, we want to know when we have trees that are down, that have been destroyed, small sheds that have been destroyed. That information is good, but that only really helps us help the National Weather Service identify where potential storm paths were. As far as damage and disaster declarations, we're looking for, I hate to say it, big ticket items. Homes, businesses, barns, infrastructure. So why do I tell you this? Because we want you to report it. We want to know where damage is. We can't do our job effectively if we don't know what we don't know. So how do you do that? All right. This is what I'm going to close with, and then we're going to open it up to more discussion questions. So if you've got something else to ask, all right. And you can ask myself, you can ask Dustin, you can ask Chief Friend. All right. So the last thing I'm going to show you is how do you report it? Any damage that you've got right here. If it's an emergency, dial 911. Life safety, threat to life, harm, dial 911. No questions asked. All right. Hey, there's a tree down in my yard. While yes, it may seem like an emergency, not really that big of an emergency when you look at some of the other things. So those types of things, I'm going to ask you to call our number for our office and leave a message for me, and I will return your phone call, or somebody will return your phone call to try to get that information. I will ask you to email me right here. All right. I'm not going to tell you to not dial 911 because sometimes people in the heat of things, that's all they remember. I will tell you that there is a difference between dialing 911 and Steuben County Communications on their non-emergency number. So if you do call Steuben County Communications, I would urge you to dial their non-emergency number, which I'm going to tell you, it's not on the slide, but it is this same one, 260-668-1000, and I believe that it is extension 4000, 4000. That is the non-emergency number for Steuben County Communications. If it is damage from the storm that is not life-threatening, I would ask that you do one of these two first. Send me an email, give me a name, address, contact number, what it is, where it is, and we'll send somebody out to follow up, or dial this number right there and leave a message. When we had the storms on March 30 and April 2nd last year, both of those gentlemen over here in the blue sweatshirts that say Steuben County Emergency Management at some point went out and did damage assessments and were in the field. On the night of the 30th, they were together in Pleasant Lake. I was in the office, they were out in the field, and they were collecting information. All right? When we had the one up here in Orland, wasn't it the second into the third?
Hell,
I think it was
Yeah,
the second
kinda.
into the third.
started on the second, we got in bed on the
Yeah.
third.
Yes, we did. So, when we did that one, we were up here. We were in the vehicle together that evening into the early morning hours. And then back again in the morning was up here and had other different volunteers, and they may have been along with me at some point too. I will assure you that for that storm, 2 of your county commissioners were also in a vehicle with me driving through the area at some point in the day or days afterwards. And the National Weather Service, that man right there, was up here as well doing some damage assessments. So we were not, had we not had people coming in or calling, or certain fire chiefs saying, hey, you may want to come up here, we wouldn't have known. And this is how we know, so that we can get them mobilized, so we can mobilize ourselves, so that the fire department can mobilize. We need to know information. So feel free to call us in and let us know when you have damage or you know of damage, so that we can come up and start tracking and plotting. We actually had a map out, and we were marking stuff on the map, and you could start to find and define a line of a travel route for that tornado. So that's how it's done. Report the damage, call 911 if it's an emergency.
I didn't mention that tornadoes are rated off of damage that they occur or that they produce. So without knowing what damage might have occurred and coming out and visually inspecting it, we can't rate the tornado. So in this case, rating it EF1, if we weren't out here, we wouldn't be able to rate it.
Real quick question. What does EF?
Enhanced Fujita. So that replaces Dr. Fujita is a professor in like the Chicago area. Started doing research on damage from like the Hiroshima bomb in Japan. So doing research on damage from that from atomic bombs. Ended up getting into translating that into tornado research. So he was a very well-known tornado researcher.
Okay, so we got about 15 minutes left for questions, and you can ask them to any of the 3 of us.
How does one become a spotter? Join fire.
That's great. That's a great question.
So we're coming up into our spotter show season. I'll pull up the link. You can register. So we have a spotter show tomorrow in Allen County, and then we have one in Elkhart on Thursday.
And there's one coming up in Topeka.
Yeah, and then there's one in LaGrange, and then there's one in Hillsdale County, Michigan. So, and then there's a bunch of online spotter shows. So,
Is there virtual ones this year?
not that our office is doing, but our neighboring offices in like the Great Lakes region are piloting. They're piloting like a regionalized spotter show, virtual. So it may not be somebody from our office running it, but you can still.
You follow our Facebook page, the one for EMA.
No.
Did you just say no?
I'm sorry. I can easily do it.
So we posted the one that's in Topeka on our page. It is.
It's not that
March
far.
24th.
Is that what it is? It's March 24th.
6 o'clock.
How young do you have to be a spotter? Like,
No age. Any age can be a spotter.
so
March
if I'm 15, I could become
Yeah,
a spotter.
It's March 12th.
You're 15, you could do it.
He said he wants an application. You may as well. You're right, it's the 12th.
It's March the 12th.
Stand corrected.
All right, great question. Great question. Young lady, yes.
Do we like do stuff that we don't want to do?
Do you tell us what to do? Either one of you guys. You guys tell us what to do, like the community or us.
But hopefully you have a weather radio in your house or whatever. And once that goes off, then you would start your preparation plan. If you don't have a preparation plan, I'd be on your folks to make one. That way they know, you know exactly where to go. Maybe even practice with them. You know, if you don't have a basement, get in a bathroom or a room with no windows, bathtub, you know, that kind of area. But practice makes perfect. So you want to practice that.
So I'll agree with what he said. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. I receive information from the National Weather Service and I share that information. I will strongly encourage, like Jim said, take this opportunity to go back with your family and talk about creating a plan, a preparedness plan, and what you're going to do. And I would encourage you to create a communications plan so you can have phone numbers of who you're going to call if something happens. And then practice it, like a fire drill at school, or the tornado drills that we used to do in school, you know. But at the end of the day, I have no authority to tell you what to do. I can make recommendations to assist. So,
That's
yes.
a question for him. They're on your department, so, last year, they experienced a tornado that went through, but nobody saw it. What happens then? Like, what if somebody sees it like later on, but it's like still in town and stuff?
And that's where Lisa, if you notice damage, if you suspected it, you know, call in to his office. He'll gladly come out and check it out. He looks for any way to get out of the office. So if you would see stuff and you know it's in the middle of the night or in a rural area that's not populated, you know, don't hesitate to call his office. He'll come out and check it out.
Okay, one more question for you. You said the tornado siren was going out of town district.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
How is that a bad thing?
That's why we have two of them, because it's not a bad thing. If it was a bad thing, we would have just took it down. So we have two of them. One that broadcasts out farther. They hear it in the Wall Lake area and outside of the town limits. And then we have a lower one that we hear inside the town limits.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, emergency management. I did this and we reported season on power lines down, emergency treating yard, non-emergency village.
Correct.
Okay, what about after this and like, yeah, I've got all this damage, but look, I've got. So now we're going to follow up with, well, not even that, that's not a question. What other management people need to find out where shelters are? You know, their house was destroyed. Do you guide those kind of questions also, or is there another source?
I'm glad you said guide. And the answer to that is yes, I can guide. We can make recommendations. We do have some resources that are available to us. I will tell you that as much as I would love to be able to personally help everybody when they have problems, I'm in an office of one full-time employee currently and a staff of very dedicated volunteers, but are also busy individuals that may be out doing other things. So we're limited on what we can do and also limited on the funding that we have that's available. We rely heavily on community partners, stakeholders like the library. When the weather is bad, not just with this, but if there was a power outage, to be able to use this as a warming or cooling center. That's a resource that's in the community. So we look for other community stakeholders that are willing to open their doors. When it comes to sheltering is typically long-term stuff. So for us, our partner for sheltering is the Red Cross, and we will call them and notify them. If we have large-scale disasters, like something that went through the Bloomington southwestern portion of Indiana this last week, where we're talking huge communities that are impacted, we would get a hold of the Red Cross and have them come in and assist us with the sheltering. But all that information, we try to push out as much as we can on social media. And we try to share that. So the sheriff's department will share things that we push out on our app. We'll put out press releases that goes to the local newscasts, the news media, broadcast media, local radio. We'll push things out on social media. So I didn't put that up here, but you know, we do have a social media page. It's Steuben County Emergency Management. It's on Facebook. You can check us out. Follow us if you want to. We put out all sorts of information all throughout the year, not just when it's storm season. So different things on what you do. Some of those are planning and what to do to plan and kits and things like that to put together for events like this. So that those are there. So does that answer your question? Was there another? Did you have a question?
Do you communicate with like Branch or LaGrange County when that tornado went through here?
I talk to LaGrange County all the time. The director and I, well, we're not like this, but we're pretty good friends. No, actually, he and I just talked today about things. So we do communicate all the time. And yes, I have in my office the capability to be able to monitor some of the radio traffic. So it wasn't the storm that came through on April 2nd here, but it was another in the area that was coming through. I don't know if you guys remember the tornado that went through LaGrange County that wiped out the chicken barn.
Yeah.
And there was a huge thing about there's 28,000 chickens running free. Yeah. Wasn't that many chickens, and they were actually kind of contained. But we were listening to that as it was coming across and listening to Mongo's. They were talking about intersections, and I was giving information to Jim, who was up here. And wasn't long after that, he messaged or calls me on the radio and says, "We got a funnel cloud over the station. I'm setting off our siren." It was that same storm system. Now the tornado, I don't think actually came to becoming a tornado here. It was just the funnel cloud that passed through, but it was one in LaGrange County. So we do communicate with them. Yes, Branch so much, but we have the capability to communicate with them. So I do talk with LaGrange, Noble, and DeKalb counties quite a bit.
I'm
Yes.
pretty sure this is my last question.
Okay.
Not so sure,
No, we're holding it to you.
but is it possible for a tornado to come through during the winter?
Yes.
Like if it's snowing, there could be a tornado too.
Yeah, in theory.
Understand.
Yeah, I mean, what you would likely have in that situation is snow on the ground and then some warm situation. I mean, what we just
so
had.
kind of like what we just had.
Yeah. Because like Mayfield tornado was a very big, deadly, almost EF5 tornado in Kentucky in December.
Any other questions? If not,
One more thing, the Florida Fire Department does have a Facebook page also. My public information officer, Andy, he takes care of that. He also posts all kinds of information on ours also. That's Orland Fire One for anybody that doesn't follow it. A lot of good information. You can see what we're doing. You can see why we're doing it. If you have any questions, you can post questions on there. If Andy doesn't have the answer, we will get the answer. So.
okay. Robin, anything before we close out?
Only that if anyone ever has suggestions for a warming station, we're always open to those suggestions, and we would have wanted to make our community building that. We've wanted to purchase a generator to do that, and it just takes money. So anyway, it's not that it hasn't been on our agenda, but yeah.
Anything for the library before we finish up?
He said,
Any closing remarks from the Weather Service?
No, I can put on that link for spotter shows if people want to register for those.
Okay.
Did you find that number for the radio?
Yes. I'm like, what number are you doing?
For the radio code.
It's the same code that you want, right? That you're looking for?
Yeah.
Okay. 018.
Nope, not that one. The broadcast frequency.
The frequency.
The broadcast frequency.
The frequency. Okay. 162.425.
Sorry, I have my numbers transposed.
0.425.
Not 164.025. 162.425. That's the number you need to write to program your radio. 162.425.
And that's Steuben County.
That's Steuben County.
Yeah,
it's actually
it's
the
the
national weather.
Angola
Yeah, the
transmitter.
Angola area.
Okay, did I pick up LaGrange then also?
Yes. So. All right. If there's nothing else, I want to thank the library for the opportunity to be here this evening. I want to thank your town council president for the motivation to do this and the encouragement to bring this to the community. And then I also want to thank the National Weather Service, Dustin, for his time, and Huron Community Volunteer Fire Department Chief Friend for their time to be able to come up this evening to put this together. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, again, right there's my email, there's my phone number. You can reach out and call me, send me a message, leave me a message, and we will respond. I give you back the rest of your evening. There are flyers on the table out there. If you guys want to take anything, the literature is there you could have. Before you leave, make sure you get batteries from me. And thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Can you say your phone number out loud once? That camera would not pick up that screen.
Okay.
I know you did.
For my office is 260-668-1000, extension 3400. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you calling on that?
Yes.
I didn't know you.